Greetings, everyone. There's a saying that goes this way: all the world needs is love. So it doesn't matter where you're from, everyone understands the importance of love, whether it be love for self or family, love for nation or race, whatever. The whole world needs love. Now, when it comes to relationship, these relationships nowadays, they're quite interesting. I read a book by Marianne Williamson titled Enchanted Love. I'd recommend you getting that book. And in that book, she talked about the fact that when we claim we fall in love with people, what we're essentially doing is robbing them of something that we lack in ourselves. So a lot of times we are attracted to people who are opposite of ourselves. Even though most people will say, I am with this person because we have so much in common. But the very thing you have in common with someone else can become that very thing that causes you to just dislike each other in the long run. The very thing you find so attractive in the beginning can be such a turn off at the very end. And so it is very complex. Nowadays, people get involved with each other for different reasons, as was the case in the past. But nowadays, people say, I'm in love, but what they are in is infatuation. So they love the idea. So some people, especially when you look at these LDR relationships, these long distance relationship nowadays, people are going online and they're meeting people and they're saying, I love you. They don't even know the person's middle name. They don't even know the person's birthday. So the love rolling off the tongue is so easy. And so when these ones get into these fantasy or these vacation romantic situations and they get to real life where they get to be under the same roof, they realize that the thing that they could have tolerated in that long distance situation is something that is just so overwhelming when they get together in the one space. Some of us, say, if the man is not tall and dark and handsome, if he's not wealthy, if he's not this or that, we can't be with him. And oftentimes we're not assessing who we are as an individual to say, what is it that I need to do for myself? What is it that I need to provide for myself so that I don't have to look for another person to give it to me? Because we are often disappointed in friends or loved ones who can't give us the love that we don't even have for ourselves. Okay, and so the trouble continues, and the fairy tale romance, continue to disintegrate because what we're looking for is not real. So, a friend of mine posted an article and I wanted to respond to her, but I didn't want to do it on her page. And so I decided to, go on my own page and address this, and I'm going to share this with you. So she's talking about, these men that are bad men and talk about the women who love them. She's talking about, weak men being with good women and don't know how to appreciate them. And this was my analysis of it, because I was trying to say the trouble is not that the cheating man is weak. It is more about us giving him strength to walk all over our self-esteem. The trouble is not that you love him, is that you don't love yourself enough. The trouble is not that you are afraid for him to be left alone. It is that you have not learned the beauty of being alone. The trouble is not that your love is not enough to discipline him. It is that you need a man to define your worth. The trouble is not that you must compete with other women. It is that you must place yourself in competition for love for yourself. No one should be competing for love, because love is free. It cannot be compared. It's not measured. It is a subjective thing. It is in the eyes of the beholder. It comes to you when you are not looking, but it requires a sharp mind to know when it finds you shelter and to provide you with a warm place for you to retreat. So many women want men who are not capable of loving themselves. So how can they know how to love you? Are you looking in the wrong place? for the right love. There are still beautiful black men available, and not only boys out there, as she says, but you have to check what you have been doing right and not try to find out what he's doing wrong. You have to trust your instincts when you get this gut, your gut sinks to tell you he's not the one, he's a creep. You do not excuse these characteristics that you see that are not good. You must love the one who love you. Bless the one who hurt you and let love find him or her on another street. Relationship takes work, private and public sweeps. When you see a woman with a good man, and let's put that in quotation, you don't know how much sacrifice she had to make to enjoy the rewards of that relationship. You don't know how much night they spent ironing out the kinks of their relationship. You don't know how much tears they shed together when they are up all night, not being able to sleep. You don't know how much hunger they suffered together, how many times they had to hold up each other. Do you know how many times they had to decide that their friendship was worth fighting for? You can't reap the benefit of a good relationship unless you're willing to assess your bucket list, your must-have list, your power struggle list, your superiority list. The next time you see a great couple, ask yourself, what did they have to do to attain this got it right list? Perhaps the boy out there is responding to the needs of the gal out there. Would you have endured what she did? He's gentle. He holds the hand of that girl out there that you say, look at her. What does he see in her? I am all this and I can't find a right man. That is not the right mindset. Because some of you ladies just want this fairy tale romance. And as soon as people start showing their real colors, that they're real human, you're ready to take off. No one is asking you to stay in a situation that is not healthy for you. But the truth is, there are folks who are willing to work out some things and work through some things that they themselves are not happy with, but they're willing to work through it. And so, you can't say, I'm single, I'm right, and I'm mighty, and expect that your situation is going to be like that of the person who spent years working on what they have. That woman is not afraid to embrace her loneliness. She's not. She was not. She might have spent years being lonely and just knowing that she was willing to wait for the right person. And so when you see people in long-term situations, don't be envious of it. Don't be envious. And don't be critical of what you don't understand. Because you might want, this man who is emotionally unavailable and cannot give you what they lack themselves. Your love cannot compensate for the fact that you want someone else to make you emotionally stable. So many of us want men who look like they stepped out of GQ magazine. They're self-made millionaires. They're too pretty to look at, too tall for comfort, too noble for reality. When was the last time you spent time with an ordinary man? A man who did not have a woman, who does not demean another woman or tell you stories of how badly his last woman treated him. When was the last time you spent a minute with a guy who could not take you to a fancy restaurant? This guy must be a loser, right? What about the ugly guy, or who you perceive to be ugly? Did you ever consider the kind of gentle love he might be able to share with you? What about the guy who every girl wants to be his good friend, the one that they put in the friend zone, the one who you tell stories about and how, wretched men are, the very man you go to say, these men I'm dating, they are no good, and he's right in front of you and he likes you too, but you don't see him. How about the boring guy who just wants to save for his future and won't spend all his hard-earned money on you? Huh? These are questions to consider. We often want the boy that makes our heart flutter, the one who's pleasing to the eyes and, to pass the one who knows how to love you. You often ignore that guy who's interested in you. And then you say there's no good men out there. You're busy looking for Mr. Right with critical eyes, and you miss out on meeting the one standing right in front of you. Bad guys know that many girls love what they can't have. So they will give you just that, knowing full well that if they give you more, they can no longer have you. Are you looking in the wrong place for the right love? There's still beautiful black men available, and not only boys out there, as the lady says. And you have to check what you're doing. What are you doing right? And stop thinking about what men are doing wrong. Trust your instincts. Listen to your gut. And let go of some of this superficial business. You know, there are many men out there who find women who know how to know how to make men out of them. Are you one of these girls or women? I'm gonna end up with this story. There's a woman named Matilda who had a daughter, and there's a boy who liked her. The mom said, "Daughter, you can't date those kind of men out there. No money to support you, no cars to drive you out here." So the boy was chased away, and the mama continued to pray for a rich man to make a woman out of her daughter. The years passed, and the daughter grew old and tired of being the rich man's brata. Then the boy came back to visit. Car glistening, money flashing, mama eyes reddening. She took her daughter and said to her, "The boy look good. Enough money for spend. If he ask you any crutches question, say yes." The girl walked up to the guy and whispered in his ears, "I am yours if you want me." And he burst out laughing. He said, "I couldn't believe what I was hearing." He brushed her aside and he opened the door of his shiny new car. And he stretched his hand out for the woman who was inside. She was not afraid to embrace him or love him. And now they're walking together in love and pride. You get the picture? I have to work on my storytelling skills, but you get the picture. Stay blessed.